Here is a version of you that cried alone last night in a room too quiet, under a weight too heavy, wondering if anyone would notice if you simply stopped trying. Charlie Chaplin knew that room. He knew hunger, loss, and shoes so worn they barely held together. The world laughed with him, never knowing how many nights he wept behind that smile. But he discovered a secret buried in his sorrow. Pain is not the enemy of joy, it is the beginning of it. Today I want to show you how a broken man became the reason the whole world smiled. There was a day I cried alone, in a room too quiet to hide in. It was not a special day. That is the strange thing about it. No tragedy announced itself at the door. No one had shouted, no one had left. Nothing had broken that you could point to and say, there, that is what did it. It was just an ordinary afternoon, the kind that slips by unnoticed for most people. But for me, on that day, something inside simply gave way. Like an old chair that has held your weight for years. And then one day, without warning, it cracks beneath you. The room I sat in was small, familiar, the same four walls I had looked at 100 times before. But that day, they felt different, closer somehow, pressing in. The silence was not peaceful. It was loud. It rang in my ears like a sound with no name. I remember staring at the wall, not really seeing it, and feeling the tears come slow at first, then faster, until I could not tell anymore where the sadness ended, and I began. The world felt heavy, like a coat too big for my shoulders. You know that feeling when you put on someone else's coat, and it hangs off you all wrong, the sleeves too long, the weight of it pulling you down with every step. That is how life felt that day. Too big, too heavy, not made for me, and yet somehow mine to carry. I did not ask for this weight. None of us do. It simply arrives one morning, and we are expected to stand up straight underneath it, as if it were nothing at all. No one saw the tears. No one heard the silence break. And that, perhaps, was the hardest part. Not the sadness itself. Sadness, I have learned, is only human. What hurt more was the loneliness of it, a feeling that even if I called out, no sound would leave my throat. The world outside my window carried on as it always did, cars passing, birds calling, someone laughing 2 streets away. Life did not pause for my small private storm. It never does. We cry in rooms the world will never enter, and somehow we are expected to walk back out of them, smiling. I thought of the little tramp-worn shoes, empty pockets, walking on. And in that moment, as strange as it sounds, I thought of him, the little man in the oversized shoes and the bowler hat, too small for his troubles and too big for his dreams. I pictured him, jacket torn at the seams, pockets turned inside out and empty, standing at some dusty crossroad with nowhere in particular to go. The world had never been kind to him either. It had knocked him down more times than anyone could count. It had taken his money, his home, sometimes even the ones he loved. And yet, there he was, always dusting off his knees, straightening his little tie, and continuing forward down that long, uncertain road. He had nothing too. And yet, somehow, he kept walking. That is the picture that stayed with me. Not a man without pain, but a man who carried his pain forward, instead of letting it plant him where he stood. He did not pretend the world was gentle. He knew, better than anyone, how sharp its edges could be. But still, each time, after the fall, after the failure, after the heartbreak, there was that same small figure, turning down the road, walking toward whatever came next. I wondered, how does a broken man still find a reason to rise? Sitting there, tears still wet on my face, I asked myself the same question. What was it that kept him walking, when he had every reason to simply lie down in the dust and stay there? What did he know that I had somehow forgotten? I did not have the answer yet. Not that day. That day I only had the question and the quiet, aching hope that somewhere ahead an answer was waiting for me too. Then I remembered Chaplin never waited for the pain to leave. That is what struck me first. Sitting there with my tears still drying on my cheeks. I had been waiting for the sadness to pass on its own, the way we wait for rain to stop before stepping outside. But Chaplin never did that. He did not stand at the window of his own life, watching the storm, hoping it would pass so he could finally move. No, he stepped out into it, soaked shoes and all. He understood something that took me far too long to learn. The pain does not leave first. You must move first, and somehow the pain learns to walk beside you. He danced with it. He laughed in its face, even when it hurt. I began to picture it clearly, the tramp, kicked out of yet another job, homeless again, hungry again, and still, somehow, there was a little skip in his step, a twirl of his cane, a tip of his hat to a world that had just wronged him. It was not that he did not feel the blow. You could see it if you looked closely enough behind the comic stumble. There was a flicker of real hurt in his eyes. But he did not let the hurt have the final word. He turned, faced it directly, and somehow found a way to laugh. Not because it did not matter, but because laughing was his way of refusing to be defeated by it. To truly laugh, he said, you must be able to take your pain and play with it. I sat with those words for a long while. Play with it, not fight it, not silence it, not pretend it was not there. Play with it the way a child plays with something too heavy to fully understand, turning it over, examining it from every side, until slowly it becomes something they can hold, instead of something that holds them. That was the shift I needed. I had been treating my sadness like an enemy at the gate, something to be kept out at all costs. But what if it was never the enemy? What if it was only asking to be noticed? That day, I stopped asking my sadness to go away. So I stopped. I stopped whispering to myself, just get over it, the way you might scold a child for tripping over their own feet. Instead, I let the sadness sit beside me. I let it have its space at the table. I did not rush to clear its plate before it had finished. It felt strange at first, almost like inviting a stranger in. But slowly, the room felt less heavy. Not because the sadness had left, but because I had stopped spending all my strength trying to push it out the door. I picked it up instead, like a cane in the tramp's hand, and that image stayed with me, the cane. Such a small, simple thing. Not a sword, not a shield, just a thin wooden stick. But in his hands, it became everything a tool to lean on when he was tired. A baton to twirl when he felt playful. A pointer to the road ahead when he was lost. I realized my sadness could be the same. Something I did not have to hide behind my back in shame, but something I could simply carry out in the open as part of who I was that day. Not a weapon against the world, but a partner in the walk. That was the lesson, simple as it sounds. My sadness was never meant to be my enemy. It was never something to defeat once and for all, like a villain in the final scene. It was only meant to walk with me, a quiet companion on the road, reminding me that I had felt deeply, that I had lost something, that I was, above all, still human. And a man who can walk forward with his sadness at his side, instead of running from it, is not a broken man at all. He is simply a man who has learned how to keep walking. So here is what I learned. In my small, quiet way. It did not come to me all at once, like a lightning bolt splitting open the sky. It came slowly, the way morning comes a little more light with every passing minute, until suddenly you look up and realize the whole room has changed. I did not become a wise man that day. I did not solve the riddle of sadness once and for all. I simply understood one small thing, and I have carried it with me ever since, the way you might carry a smooth stone in your pocket, something to hold on to when the road gets rough again. Tears are not the opposite of strength, they are its beginning. For so long, I believed the two could not exist together. I believed that a strong man does not cry, that tears are what is left over when strength has failed. But I was wrong. I think now of every soldier who has wept before a battle, every mother who has cried before finding the courage to carry on for her children, every tired soul who has broken down completely only to rise the next morning and keep going anyway. Their tears were not weakness. Their tears were the price of feeling deeply enough to keep fighting. Strength does not begin with a dry face and a straight back. It begins in the wet eyes, in the shaking hands, in the moment you feel utterly broken and choose even then to take one more step. Somewhere between the fall and the stumble, there is always a little rhythm, a little joy. Watch him again, the little tramp, tumbling over a curb, losing his hat, catching it on the tip of his cane just before it hits the ground. There is comedy in the fall. Yes, but there is also truth. Life will trip us. It will knock the hat clean off our heads when we least expect it. But if we watch closely enough, even in the stumble, there is a strange kind of rhythm, a beat we did not know we were dancing to. Joy does not wait for the smooth road. It hides in the cracks of the broken one, waiting for us to notice it. You do not need the sun to smile sometimes. The smile makes the sun. I used to think happiness was something that arrived from outside, a gift the world handed you on a good day and took away on a bad one. But I have come to believe it works the other way around, more often than not. The smile does not always follow the sunlight. Sometimes the smile is what calls the sunlight in. Chaplin knew this better than anyone, a man who made the whole world laugh from behind eyes that had seen great sorrow. He did not wait for joy to find him. He built it, piece by piece, out of nothing but will and a bowler hat. So today, if you cried good, that means you felt something real. If today was the day your own quiet room grew too loud with silence, if today was the day your own coat felt too heavy for your shoulders, do not be ashamed. That means you are alive to this world in a way that matters. It means you have not gone numb to your own life. There is no shame in the tears. There is only the question of what you do the moment after they fall. Now walk like Chaplin walked, chin up, heart open, one small step, then another. So stand up now, the way he always did, hat crooked, shoes too big, heart somehow still open to the world despite everything it had taken from him. You do not need the whole road ahead of you to be clear. You only need the next step. Chin up, not because you are certain, but because you are willing. Heart open, not because it has never been broken, but because you have decided to let it feel again anyway. One small step, then another. That is how he walked through it all. And that, in the end, is how we all keep walking too.